Hello, I'm Carl Wynn, and I want to just say I'm thankful to be able to present today to you leaders, to whether you're a nonprofit leader or a for profit leader, a leader in general. I'm so glad that I can share with you. Again, my name is Carl Wynn, and I want to talk about your one book away, leveraging publishing for nonprofit impact, income, and influence. So you should know that I'm an author of Nothing is a Waste, Leverage the Past, Improve the Future. And I like leverage. And let me share this before we go forward that leveraging is this. Leverage helps one accomplish a desired outcome more easily, more efficiently, more effectively, and excellently. And I want to say a book is just that, leveraging, and you're one book away. So you're one book away from three things. One, you're one book away from clarifying your mission. You're one book away from multiplying your impact. And you're one book away from opening doors you've never expected. So let me share my personal story. So there's one book that I've written, and it has generated more than $20,000 for our nonprofit, which, as you know, is the Baptist Student Ministry on Texas Southern University. And it just started out with one book. And so back in October 2024, I met with a friend of mine over lunch, and we were just chit-chatting and talking. And I shared with him, I'm getting ready to publish my first book, which is Nothing is a Waste, Leverage the Past, Improve the Future. And then he said, oh, you should meet my other friend. He just wrote a book. I said, well, would you connect me with him? So he sent me his contact information, and that day I followed up with him with a phone call, just saying, hey, who I am and why I wanted to get connected. Now, let me tell you, I had no expectation of the friend ever answering the phone or calling me back or even meeting with me. I just wanted to just make the call. And so I called, I sent him my link. He booked an appointment, and 3 weeks later, we met. Now, again, I had no expectation of what that conversation was going to be about, where it was going to go, who the guy was. So I wasn't sure about how it would turn out. And so, long story short, is that one conversation, that one meeting, it led to what I'm explaining to you, that this one book has opened up so many doors for me. It has increased our ministry's impact, income, and influence. And so after our first meeting, he said, I really like your book, and I'm going to read over it. And what I want to do is read over and see what other doors that I can open for you. Now, mind you, going into this meeting, I wasn't even thinking about him helping us with our mission for impacting the college campus, the students. So what happened is I reached out to him in an email, say, hey, this is I told him, like, these are things I'm doing right now, and I want to share this with you. This is what I'm doing. I would love for you to come alongside of us if you can. So I shared that with him, and lo and behold, almost a year and a half later, he is one of my chief advocates. He's the advocate of our ministry, helping us get the ball down the road. So with that being said, this one book, it has changed my life, and not only my life, but it's changed my nonprofit life and the lives of the students that we are able to impact. So one book has allowed our income, our impact, and our influence to increase just by one book. So let me say this, be clear. My book, it hasn't made me famous, but it has given me some credibility. Now, again, I'm not looking for credibility, but it does. It gives you, it makes you credible. So when I wrote that book, my friend, it gave me some credibility with him, because as he read over that book, he understood who I was, what I believe, what I'm coming from, what I stand for. And so it gave me credibility with him. So much so that he said, I know Carl. I know his intention. I know what he's focused on. And I want to help him increase his impact, his income, and his influence. And that's what it is. So I want to be very clear. My book has not made me famous, and your book may not make you famous, but it will give you credibility. So stewarding the message through your books. So as of today, I've written and published 8 books, and you can see some of the titles. Why College Students Are One of the Most Strategic Investments. Collaboration Builds a Nation. How to Write a Book in a Day. 100 Ways to Make Money with No Money. And then Leverage Life. Nothing is a Waste. Leverage the Past, Improve the Future. First Generation Homeschool. Missionary Moneymaker, While Making a Dime is Making a Difference. So as I write these books, I'm not writing these books for pride. I'm not writing these books to become famous, but I am writing these books for 2 reasons. One is I'm writing this book for productivity. I want to be a good steward of the time that God has given me, and writing a book helps me to utilize my time in a way that can have an impact on the lives of people long after I'm gone. So I want to steward the message through these books. So it's not about being famous, but it is about being faithful. So as you think about writing your book, it's not about pride, but it's about productivity. It's not about fame, but it's about faithfulness. So messages become movements when they're written. So going back to one of the books that I wrote, which is called Missionary Moneymakers, While Making a Dime is Making a Difference, I am focused on making that book into a movement. In fact, what I've done after I wrote that book, I've created a podcast around it. I've created a business structure around it, because I want it to be a movement. Because what I know to be true is that most Christians are in a marketplace. And if I can empower and enlighten Christians to be effective in the marketplace, then I can help expand the kingdom of God. And the reason why I say that is because it's consistent with my mission. And my mission is this: in partnership with God, transform lives worldwide. So I want to focus on how can I transform lives worldwide. And one reason is by engaging and investing in Christians in the marketplace, equipping them to become missionaries right where they are in their industries. So even you, as nonprofit leaders, you're in a particular industry and you are expanding the kingdom of God right where you are. So that is the focus, is that your message can become a movement when it is written. So why I write? I write for clarity. Writing forces me to clarify. It forces me to clarity. Clarity about what I believe, clarity about what's important to me, clarity about my thoughts, clarity about my feelings, clarity about how I want to make an impact, clarity about what's wrong and what are some solutions. So writing forces clarity. So that's why I write. So the writing disciplines, let me talk about this. So writing, it allows me to do 3 things, and it will allow you to do 3 things as well. It allows you to craft, codify, and communicate what you believe, your mission, what's important, your impact. It allows you to do that. So as we think about craft is this: making something with skill and careful attention. And so as you think about your mission and your vision and the impact that you want to have, you want to craft it in such a way that you are careful with your attention. Going back to the book that I wrote, Why College Students Are One of the Most Strategic Investments, Reach the Campus, Reach the World, I had to think about that. I had to craft the message. I had to weave in the mission. I had to weave in the impact and why it's important for people to partner with us. And so writing helps you to craft that. It helps you to put your skill together, to give careful attention to putting your mission in a way that helps other people understand. And then codify. Writing helps you to codify. It's organizing ideas into a clear framework. So when you think about your board members, you think about your team members, when you think about your volunteers, when you write something, and I'm sure you have something written already, but as you think about writing helps you to organize those ideas in a clear framework for movement, for how you're going to go about engaging your clients, your community. What does that look like for you? As well as how other people can come alongside you to help you expand that work. So it's sort of like a template. So codifying is organizing you, putting it together in a clear framework that you understand, that you can communicate to others, and that other people understand. And then writing helps you to communicate. It's transmitting knowledge to others or imparting knowledge to others. So when you have went through the process of crafting, codifying, now you're ready to communicate your vision, your mission, your impact, your goals, your what you the outcomes, your ministry approach to other people, and they can get it. So to sum it up, writing does three things for leaders. It helps leaders craft their thinking, codify their frameworks, and communicate their mission succinctly. Don't let the music die with you. That is something I've been telling Christians for the last year. Many Christians say that they want to write a book. Well, that is my goal, is not to let the music die with you. Because guess what? Once you die, the value that you have, it can't come back out. And writing a book is a great way to increase your impact, your income, and influence. And my goal is to help 10,000 Christians in 2026 write and publish a book. So if that's you, I want you to download this free worksheet. It's called 5 Ways to Finding Your Unique Book Idea. And I want to help you write your book. Remember, don't let the music die with you. Go ahead and start singing it loud and proud right now. And remember, this is not about pride, but it's about productivity. So writing creates clarity. It answers, what do we believe? What matters most? And what impact are we trying to create? So you need to really understand what you believe, because if you don't understand what you believe, then you can't communicate that to other people. And if you don't have that clarity, and if your team doesn't have that clarity, then they cannot communicate that to others. And so you're limited in your impact, in the scope of work that you can do. But when you know what you believe, and through writing, you've put it on the paper, it's now scalable. But not only that, but you write what matters most. You need to know what matters to you. Because if you don't know what matters most, other people cannot support you. So writing forces you to think about what matters most. Because the reality is that there's a lot of things that matter to us, but you gotta define what matters most to you. Because if not, you're going to be stretched too thin. So we need to determine what matters most to me, and you put that on a paper. And then not only that, but what impact are we trying to create? That's another thing. We need to think about, what impact are we trying to create? So for example, for us with the Baptist Student Ministry, we're trying to reach the campus so we can reach the world. So we're trying to, our impact that we're trying to have is a worldwide impact by investing in college students. So it's very clear in our book. Why college students are one of the most strategic investment. Reach the campus, reach the world. And when people read that book, it's going to be very clear that we are focused on investing in college student to make an impact, to reach the world. So if somebody look at that book and say, okay, personally, I want to see that the gospel goes all over the world. They can look at our mission and say, this, I know what they believe. I know what matters most to them. And I know what impact they want to have. And this aligns with what I want to do in my life and how I want to get involved. So those are, that writing creates that clarity. Now, let me talk to you about the 3P frameworks. So this is one of the reasons why I write books. So going back to 2024, when I wrote and I published my first book, Nothing is a Waste, Leverage the Past, Improve the Future, people were asking me, Carl, why did you write your book? Why did you write your book? So I had to think about, why did I write my book? And I came up with the 3P framework, which is passive impact, passive income, and positive influence. And we're going to jump into these. I'm going to break them down so that you can understand what they are. So passive impact is this: is value created once that continues serving people. So those things are books, courses, frameworks, digital content, YouTube videos. These are things that you can invest one time, but it continues to serve people. So that's why I share with you, books are one of the greatest tools for giving God the best return on his investment, which is our time. And so for me personally, that's why I'm focused on writing more books. That's why I'm focused on helping other Christians write, not only other Christians, but 10,000 Christians write and publish a book, because it allows them to release that value one time, but it continues to have an impact on an ongoing basis. So passive impact in 1 year. So this is the data from my personal website, which is carlwynn.com. So over the last year, I've had directly 20,000 people directly come to my website. Just coming in, carlwynn.com, typing it in. I don't even know where it's coming from, but they're getting my information out. Google, 379 people found me on Google. LinkedIn, 52 people found my content, my website on Google. And Facebook, 38. And then there was some more people, but it wasn't a lot. But this is passive impact. So I did the work one time, but it's still showing up over time, and people are being impacted. And so your message can travel. So these are all of the countries that my content have impacted. So United States, United Kingdom, Sweden, Germany, Russia, and many more countries. It's impacted lives worldwide. But again, this is very strategic, because it goes back to what I said, is that my vision is this: in partnership with God, transform lives worldwide. Mission multiplication. So think about this framework: leader, book, 1,000 impact. So you as the leader, you have value, you have vision, all of those things. You have credibility. It's within you. And if you can, going back to craft, codify, and communicate your vision and your mission to other people through a book, you can leverage your impact, and you can multiply your mission. And it goes back to one of the things that the scripture tells us, shows us, is that God is a God of multiplication, not just a God of addition. God wants us to take what he's given us and make an impact. Whether that's, when you look at Genesis chapter 1, he says, be fruitful and multiply. That is not talking about a one-off. He wants us to be fruitful and multiply. Right? He wants us to subdue the earth. He wants us to have an impact beyond just one or two people. And then not only that, but in the Gospel of John 15, we see that Jesus says, "It is my Father will that you bear much fruit." So God is a God of multiplication. And so me, we need to be thinking about, how can I multiply my impact? How can I multiply my mission? How can I be a person of impact that multiplies? So passive income. So whether you are a nonprofit leader or a for-profit leader, income is important. But let me tell you what income is. Income is a measure of value created. That's all it is. It measures the value you created for others. And remember, I don't know if I said this, but let me say this, is that God has created all of us to live lives of contribution. But one of the ways that contribution can be measured is through income. So that is through a donation that you receive. That can be through book sales. That can be through speaking engagements. That can be through digital courses download. That can become that can become be seen by the number of people who've registered for your event. You name it, but it shows up in income. So that's one of the ways to measure value that you've created for others. That's one of the ways for you to see that what you're doing is helping other people. So this title should be called Positive Influence. And so I want to give a caveat to this. So positive influence has two focus. One is helping people become more happier, healthier, and holier. And so when we think about our lives and we think about our mission, our vision, we're thinking about giving God the best return on his investment. It's about serving other people. So when you think about serving other people, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about you want to be a person that is delivering hope. And a way that I define hope is this: is helping other people excel. So if you think about the H, it's helping other people and excel. And so as we think about positive influence, we want to help other people's lives. We want to help other people become more happy, healthier, and holier. And so that's what positive influence. So that's the first definition. But the second definition of positive influence is that it's focused effort. So when I was working on a podcast back in December, and it was talking about positive influence, I did some research and just thinking about what is positive influence. So positive influence is focused effort. It is targeted resources. So as you think about your vision and your mission, your goals, the impact that you want to see, you need to have a targeted. You want to target your resources so that when people come alongside of you, they know what you're focused on. And not only that, but when you write that book, it gives you that focus. It gives you that niche. It gives you that window of that I'm focusing my resources at this particular problem, at this particular people, whatever the case may be. But this is what I'm focused on. So positive influence is that it is focused effort, so that you can focus. It's a vision, so you can focus your resources on this particular problem that you want to solve. So that's positive influence. Welcome to Missionary Moneymaker, the podcast where making a dime is making a difference. I'm Carl James Wynn Jr., and we believe this: mission and money were never meant to be separated. Every Christian in the marketplace is a missionary, called to create value, solve problems, and steward influence for the glory of God. This podcast is a discipleship movement, a marketplace masterclass, and a prophetic reframe of how we think about work, wealth, and calling. Here, we equip entrepreneurs, professionals, and leaders to increase their impact, income, and influence without guilt. without comparison, just calling. If you're ready to leverage your past, walk in obedience, and build with purpose, you're in the right place. Let's go to work. So why founders should write books? One, books preserve vision. Again, one day we're all going to be gone. And it can happen today. But if you've written a book, it actually preserves your vision. So it also preserves your values. What is valuable to you as a leader, as a founder? What is valuable to your organization? And so this is something that you can do. In fact, you don't have to do this on your own. This book, you can get that input from your board, from your team members, but you can clarify that. You can preserve your values within a book. The origin story. So if you are a leader, as a founder, you have a story. What got you started? What made you start this organization? And so what you can do is you can put that in a book along with your vision, your values, and it can be preserved, and other people can share it for you. So it's not that you got to do it all, but other people can do it for you and with you. So it's a team effort. But then the last reason why founders should write a book is mission clarity. It clarifies your mission. And that is important. If you're going to lead a team, your mission must be clear. You must be clear on what it is that y'all are trying to accomplish. And you want to lead them with clarity. So let me deal with this myth when it comes to writing a book, because I have so many people who tell me, Carl, I want to write a book. Carl, I want to write a book. But then they often say, man, you must be a gifted writer. You must be, you must have got it all together. And man, I can't believe you did this. And they would often say, I can't do this. This is not something that I can do. But that's the myth is that you don't have to be a great writer to write. In fact, I like what Zig Ziglar said. He says that you don't have to be great to start, but in order to be great, you must start. So let me say that again. Zig Ziglar said, you don't have to be great to start, but in order to be great, you must start. And so as I think about my own writing journey, I wasn't a great writer. I became better through writing. I mean, it goes back to a principle that I live by is this: perfect practice produces progress. Nobody wakes up as an international best-selling author. Nobody wake up as a international nonprofit leader. It takes practice. It takes intentionality. Nobody wakes up as the NBA greatest player. It takes practice, intentionality. So I want you to know that you don't have to be a great writer to write. You just need to be willing to start. And here's the truth: is you must be willing to steward your message. That's what it's about. Because the truth is this: as I've told people, and I'm working on another book. It's called "Don't Let the Music Die With You." What you don't want to do is allow the music to die with you, but you want to get your music out right now while you still have breath in your body. You don't want that value to go to the grave with you, because the truth is that any second, our lives can be over. So here's the leadership question. If your mission only exists in conversation and meetings, what happens to it when you're no longer here? Let that sit with you. If your mission only exists in conversation and meetings, what happens to it when you are no longer here? Just read this. Recently, I was listening to a podcast, and there's a guy on there. He was a partner with this other guy who founded this for-profit organization. And it so happened that his partner died. And thankfully, this is what he said, thankfully that they already had one book regarding the founder's origin and mission, vision, things that he wanted to accomplish. So they already had one book, and they were in the process of already writing a second book. So right now, although the founder, one of the partners is gone, the mission and the vision is able to be scaled. So it didn't die with him, but it's continuing to go on even today. So that's the real question. What happens to it when you're no longer here? That is a question that we got to ask ourselves. And so for me, as I think about why I wrote the book, why college students are one of the most strategic investment, reach the campus, reach the world, is because I want to bring awareness to the opportunity to invest in college students so that this message, this mission gets outside of my head, outside of my hands, into other people so that they can take that vision and that mission forward so that it's not just up to me. In fact, my goal over the next 5 years and my team goal is to make sure that a ministry just like ours exists on all of the HBCU campuses in Texas. And if you don't know what HBCU stands for, it's Historically Black Colleges and Universities. And then in 10 years, we want to see that impact all of the historically black colleges and universities in the United States of America. So that's the goal. But the ball is already rolling. I'm already making it happen because that book is out there. So that's the question for you. What happens to it when you're no longer here? Leadership question. What if your message could impact people for the next 100 years? You know, this is about passing the baton. This is a question that we all need to be asking ourselves as leaders, whether we're nonprofit leaders, for-profit leaders, whether we're parents, whether we're church leaders, you name it, government leaders. We need to think about what happens when I'm not here. What happens in 100 years? Can I still be making an impact? Or the question is, what impact can I be making 100 years from today? I know I'm thinking about that. That's one of the reasons why I'm writing a book. That's one of the reasons why I'm creating. I'm recording podcast episodes and making videos, and helping other Christians write and publish a book, because I want my message, I want my impact to last beyond my lifetime. And so we need to be thinking about 100 years from now. So as I come to the close of this presentation, I've created a free resource that you can download. It's called 5 Steps to Discovering Your Unique Book Idea. We put this together. It's free. You scan the QR code and download it, because the goal is to, as you walk away from this, I want to equip you with some tools for you to get started today, because that's the goal, is to get started. Start now, which is a principle that I live by. Start now. Don't try to wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow is not promised. Why don't we start now? So I want to thank you for allowing me to present. I'll be around for questions later, but at the end of the day, this right here is a resource page that I created for this presentation that you can go click on. You can see resources on how to get that one resources, 5 ways to find your unique book idea, but also to book a free 30-minute call with me to help you think through your book. But also, if you want to go ahead and get started and review the course on how to write a book, I have that on there as well. Missionary Moneymaker, where making a dime is making a difference. This is a discipleship movement, a marketplace masterclass, and a bold reframe of mission and money, helping Christians increase impact, income, and influence without guilt, without comparison, just calling.